the first of the two superheat for the prime category of the IAME Euro Series. Superheat number 1, as Dan Aleman will start on the pole position. Dan Aleman, the leader in points after the qualifying heats yesterday. Watch out, Otto Pikkanen, 2 wins to his name as well, will be alongside him. Row number 2, Matteo Rivals, 1 win to his name in Julian Sorvillo, 2 wins yesterday. Row number 3, Dani Carinini, 1 win. Morgan Moore, as well as row number 4, Bertram Sach and Daniel Massia. Row number 5, Toby Gale and Roxanne Lantinga. Row number 6, Sebastian Minz and Elias Lehmann. Maurice Verkreuz and Kevin Baker, row number 7. Row number 8, Emilia Kari and Stig de Radermacher. Row number 9, Andy Rattel, Hugo Rana. Row number 10, Matteo Melis and Romain Salais. Yanni Bouillet and Egor Ivanchenko, row number 11. Row number 12, Luna Cleret and Elvis Krasovskas. Row number 13, Neil Russell and Adrian Canal. Eli Dax and Tyrone Kinner, row number 14. And at the back end of the grid, row number 15, Jan Rodriguez, Thomas Van Vliet, Christian Fuente Plaza, Max Lacroix, and Anton Batedou, as Thomas Van Vliet appears not on our screens, doesn't seem to be driving this superheat number 1, as we're going to jump on board. Dani Carinini, the former winner of the IAME Euro Series, once the light go out in just a moment.
Here we go then for the first superheat in the seniors. We're racing once again, this time for 13 laps. Good start for Aleman, good start for Rivals. Pikkanen is going to... Oh, someone's run very wide there. It's one of the fusions, I think, and more dramas down at turn number 2. The superheat has kicked off already. It's the 2:58. That one of the... it's Daniel Massia. Daniel Massia off the road. Very alternative lines past the Marshall post there. So a bit of a crazy start here. I think Kevin Back has been in trouble as well. Thomas Van Vliet, as noted, is not out in this race. So that's one driver gone. There's another driver off in the background on the exit of turn number 4. But Dan Aleman, though, whilst it's all kicking off behind the Swiss driver, he is laser focused, as he has been across the course of this race week. He knows if he wins this race, he will be on pole, as that is indeed the 2:31 of Kevin Backer. Got through sector 1, but his superheat is over. And I tell you what, Guillaume, I think Kev's going to be in a bit of bother here, because he started this race 27th in the intermediate classification. With a DNF, you can quite easily lose 10 positions or so. That could be the end of Backer's weekend. He might miss the cut here for the final. Yeah, it's all going to have to be confirmed, as the results will be still provisional once we have the checkered flag down, but certainly not the best start of the day for Kevin Baker. DNF for him, as Thomas Van Vliet, as a result, did not start. Consequence of a DNF yesterday, mechanical trouble, but a look of it for Thomas Van Vliet, preventing him from being part of that last day of racing. We jump on board with Dani Carinini chasing the 2:20 of Otto Pikkanen for second place. Those two chasing Dan Aleman. You can see that the Swiss driver has already pulled away just a tiny bit, taking advantage of the battle behind between the former IAME Euro Series champion and Otto Pikkanen as well, picking up a couple of wins yesterday. We'll have to keep a close watch on the battle between those two, not only in this one, but into the final later on this afternoon. But now they're going to have to work together just a tiny bit. But Dani Carinini has other ideas in mind. You can see him gesturing to Otto Pikkanen. Let's keep pushing. Let me through. Let me be the one taking you forward and trying to decrease the gap. It has extended to 0.8 of a second now. Dan Aleman doing what he needs, pushing away from the rest of the field. Carinini put himself in second. That opens the door and gives other ideas to Julian Sorvillo, claiming third place on the inside of Otto Pikkanen in turn number 4. So Pikkanen caught up a little bit, 2 places down for the Finnish driver from Cork Promotion, but he has what it takes, 13 laps to go through. Number 3 this is, as let's take a look back on the move and the gesture of Dani Carinini on Otto Pikkanen. It was very close indeed. I could see already the Italian being slightly frustrated before making his move. That's why he decided to go for the attack as early as the conclusion of lap number 2. Couple of gestures to Otto Pikkanen. Keep on pushing, keep on going. In terms of last lap, they were running in a 64.3 for Dani Carinini, and pretty much the same, 64.2, so slightly faster for Otto Pikkanen, but it was just on the last lap.
So a little bit of a pace difference between the two, and Carinini, instead of being frustrated, said to himself, okay, let's go for the move, let me be the chaser, and then it's up to you to try to follow me then.
Tyre pressures and tyre condition is such an important part of this sport, particularly for these seniors with them running on the SM2 compound. Slightly quicker, slightly softer, but of course they've then got to do more races on it in the seniors. They've already done 5 rounds of qualifying heats and a timed qualifying back on Wednesday. I just wonder with Pickerton, there was someone, was that one of the Mole Racing drivers? Yes, it was the 229. Is that Granada in a bit of bother out of turn number, oh sorry, no, it's Elvis Krasauskas who was in a spot of bother there. That could be the end for Krasauskas. Krasauskas was outside the top 36 overnight, had put new tyres on for this race. But just to go back to Pickerton, I wonder if he's taken a lot out of his tyres. We saw him doing a lot of chasing with Dan Aleman yesterday on the way to 2 race wins. Could have been a 3rd if it wasn't for a 5-second front fairing penalty. Carinini's tyres worn, but looking decent, Nick. Remember that he did have a DNF, so his tyres will be slightly fresher, if you could describe them as fresh at this stage of the weekend. Well, he's using them to great effect. Down the inside, Carinini takes the race lead away from Dan Aleman. That opens the doors for Guillaume and Servillo to step through into second place, who continues to impress me a lot this weekend. Guillaume had a bit of a torrid time back in Valencia for the IAME Winter Cup, but has come to this race meet because, oh, Kevin Bakker, that is the sign of an unhappy driver. Helmet on, not wanting to speak to anybody, knowing that, yeah, that is likely with that result we'll get some points, but points for 32nd place drop down the order. Just as a comparison, other drivers who started alongside him or around him, Andy Rattel, for example, is moving towards the finals, gained 2 places. You've got others like Max Lacroix up 15 places from the back of the field. Luna Clere's having a good run as well. Luna Clare might be saving her weekend. She's up 12 places to P11. And Batadou as well. Anton Batadou now from the back of the field. 23 positions gained into the top 10. Back at the front of the order, though, Carinini still leading from Servillo as Rattel sets the fastest lap of the race. Andy Rattel possibly coming into play here.
Yeah, let's say about that, picking up on what you said about Luna Clare. Despite a strong recovery in this race, she picked up a warning flag and a 5-second penalty for causing a collision, as it appeared a few moments ago. So unfortunately, all the efforts will be put into the bin, but strong recovery though with fresh tires put in for the Quebec driver. Not the best of weekend so far for Luna Clare. Hopefully she can make it to the last race of the day. Remains to be seen. Now, lap number 6 is on course. Danny Carinini and Julian Servillo, 0.3 of a second. Dan Aleman still very much into the race, as Krasauskas has picked up as well the 5-second penalty for causing a collision, but is out of this race. Unfortunately, the Mole Racing driver, as we jump on board with our leader from Zenkin Motorsport, former winner of both the IAME Euro and the IWF as well back in 2021. Danny Carinini, a client every year. Every time he's out there on track, he has to be feared by the opposition. And once again, he's demonstrating that he's here, certainly with one target in mind, the final victory and maximum points for the championship, as we are here with one of the RSD drivers, a 241, slightly further down, Stig de Radermacher and Sebastian Mins. This is battle for P5. Let's keep an eye on that, because Stig de Radermacher, the Belgian from the UAE, has put new tires on, climbing 10 places, and now he's trying to attack, and yes, he did attack Sebastian Mins and just made his bid for P5. P5 it is, sorry.
Should see Stig through to the final as well. Started just behind Kevin Bakker, actually, 16th on this grid, 31st overnight. So this is what we mean with Kevin Bakker. His retirement, coupled with other drivers who are in and around him in the IC having better races, I think he's going to put Bakker out. But Stig should be pretty confident around this circuit. Was the first driver over the line in X30 Junior last year, but then one of those 5-second penalties came in, which took the win away from him. This is good stuff here in the top 10. That was the 257 of Matteo Mellis making a move. Matteo had a tough day yesterday, but again, plus 10. And is behind Luna Clare, who we know has a 5-second penalty. So this should see the Italian through as long as we get through the next 5 laps. There's been quite a few drivers we've talked about today who've not had that. Toby Gale Toby Gale really quick yesterday in the cloudy conditions in round number 5. This one a bit more of a struggle though. He's still going to make it through to the final, but is back into 10th place. Might be a bit disappointed with that performance and that result if it does go that way, considering how well he finished yesterday, perhaps.
Yeah, certainly so. As lap number 9 is completed, look at the battle. Luna Claire in the back. She's about to have a bit of a moment as well with the two. One of the dream racing drivers in the mix out there. Could be Matteo Rivals with Andy Rattel. This is Andy Rattel we're speaking about, one of the teammates of Luna Claire from KBK. But Andy Rattel complaining a little bit, I heard him in the paddock, about the fact that he could not keep up with some of his closest rivals. Not the best of weekend for Andy Rattel that we have seen fighting at the forefront. He has put new tires for this race, trying to save what can be saved of this weekend. 5 places gained up to P12 at the moment, and trying to chase Bertram Such from MP Motorsport and Toby Gale just in front. But still, Rattel might have a couple of things still up his sleeve coming to the final, but having been stuck within the midfield for the majority of the weekend, he hasn't been able to really express his full potential.
If you look up the term head scratcher of a weekend, I think you would see a picture of Andy Rattel here in Spain here for round 1. A driver that we've seen on the podium multiple times in the IAME Euro Series. Hasn't had a podium though for 12 months now, and the last time we saw him on the rostrum was 3rd at Cremona last year for the opening round of that championship. Back at the front of the field though, Danny Caronini leading this one. It's been a bit of a different weekend for Danny Caronini. It's not been the typical Caronini on form, dominating in the qualifying heats and necessarily getting the championship points together in the early stages. It's how he won the championship in 2024, the sheer consistency. Didn't win a final in 2024, but did finish atop a lot of the intermediate classifications. At the moment, he would be 3rd on the grid for the final, albeit we've still got another race to go with the likes of Brasca and Garcia and Ruben Moya to run as well. But what I do like here is that the weekend seems to be building in the right direction for Danny Caronini.
Yeah.
Especially since that DNF midway through yesterday. He struck back with a race win. He got another top 3 in the final round yesterday. And this is him looking very calm at the wheel right now, albeit still being challenged by Julian Silvino.
Yeah, at some point the material failed on the Italian driver, but as you said, he was back on his feet very, very quickly. We won a win and a 3rd. And now on his way to potentially nail it down into the 2nd superheat. I would put him within the top 3 positions coming to the final later this afternoon, but with one more race to go into the seniors. So nothing is done yet, but at least one half of the job almost accomplished on lap 11 by Caronini. But Soviet and Hardeman have other ideas. In the meantime, we saw a move by Luna Claire on Sébastien Mins, and Luna Claire making another move on Otto Pikkonen. So the new tires come into play at the right time for Luna Claire. 18 places gained for the French driver, and now finds herself P5 as Sébastien Mins in the meantime dropped momentum and lost positions down to P9.
Yeah, Luna now needs to go into almost time trial mode. She's got a 1.5 second gap ahead of her, which she could run into. The 5-second penalty at the moment would drop her to around 15th, 16th place. I reckon to make up the difference of being outside the top 36 overnight. There's a move from Alaman. That could be important. We'll come back to that. I think Luna needs to be top 10 once the 5-second penalty shakes out, and she's about 3 seconds off that at the moment. It's going to be a bit of a tall order to see Luna get through. Why is that move for Alaman important? Well, quite simply, points. A 3rd place would have really opened the door for some of the rivals yet to run. The Spanish trio of Brasca, Garcia, Moya would all have been licking their lips at the prospect of Alaman dropping 18 points. He's still dropping points with where he is right now, but only 10 points. So that, oh dear, as one of the CRGs has gone wildly off the circuit there. That's Antoine Batterou, and the end of the weekend for the French driver, and is understandably not too happy with the situation there. And had a really good race. Naughty Kart kicks the front fairing, and well, if you're going to go out of the weekend with a bang, that's somewhat the way to do it. That is a real shame. Batterou had flown up through the order, 23 positions, and then that's karting, isn't it? You come crashing back down out of the race, out of the weekend. We're on the final lap.
Yeah, that's quite a shame for Batidu. Remember, he had a DNF yesterday for a similar reason. The material failed on him, unfortunately, being the lonely CRG driver out in the field. Certainly not helping his cause. Final lap it is. Danny Carinini, 3/10 in front of Dan Haleman. Sorvillo down in third. That will be the last few corners into the last sector for the proud Italian of Zanchi Motorsport, who held on to that P1 position, having climbed 4 places in front of Haleman. As for now, Dan Haleman is your current provisional leader in points, but that might change with one more race to go. But in the meantime, this is a job well done once again for Danny Carinini, who finishes ahead of Haleman. Juan Sorvillo picking up 3rd place, and a good run up into P4 for Stig de Rademacher. Thanks to those new rubber, 12 places gained. And hats off as well to Luna Claret, despite the penalty, 18 places gained. No matter what happens for her at the end of the weekend, she certainly had a lot of fun into this last race.
Absolutely. Bravo, Danny, is what the Zanchi Motorsport team will say. That is a very, very good performance from the former champion, the runner-up in this championship last year. Could it be today? Could it be today where Danny Carinini breaks this run of not quite being able to win a final? He's very good at getting those championship points on the board, and he'll get a good load of championship points on the board with this result, but he wants that victory. He wants to stand on top of the podium as he looks to reclaim his title over this 4-round championship. Aleman at the moment, though, is still your leader with that 2nd place in the intermediate points, but the door is open now for others. With Aleman dropping 10 points from what he potentially could have got. Julian Sorvillo 3rd, Stig de Rademacher 4th, Luna Claret 5th, but has a 5-second time penalty, which will drop it down to around 13th place. Matteo Mellis next up, P6 on the road. Pickenen, Rattel, Mins, Gale, they should all be through. Lehman, Brulé, Rana, Saxa, and Russell, I think, will all be through as well, there or thereabouts, for those top 15s. Roxanne Lantinga at P16 in that one, but we'll have, I think, new tyres for the final and will also be through.